They said I wasn't family anymore. They erased my name in front of everyone. But what they didn't know was that the same woman they threw away would one day build an empire that made the whole world say her name again. This isn't just a story about rejection. It's about resilience, forgiveness, and the kind of success that speaks louder than revenge. So grab your seat, hit subscribe, and tell us where you're watching from. The rain fell softly over the city as Maya sat alone in her small apartment, staring at the invitation in her hand. The gold-embossed letters read, "The Annual Williams Family Gala, a celebration of legacy and excellence." Her parents' names shone boldly across the top, just like always. Maya let out a short, tired laugh. Legacy, she whispered under her breath. The word used to mean belonging. Now it tasted like betrayal. For years, she had tried to earn their approval, straight A's, scholarships, sleepless nights. Yet, no matter what she did, her parents, Mr. and Mrs. Williams, only had eyes for her younger brother, Desmond, the golden child. He could do no wrong, even when he dropped out of college to find himself. Meanwhile, she had built her success in silence. But this gala invitation wasn't about reconciliation. It was a reminder of the night everything shattered. It happened 2 years ago, the night her parents disowned her. The ballroom had been full of family, friends, and investors. Maya stood at the corner of the hall, holding a glass of water, waiting for her turn to speak about her new business idea, a tech startup she'd built from scratch. She had finally gathered the courage to present it to her father, hoping he'd see her worth. Instead, she heard her mother's voice echo through the microphone. "Before we continue, we need to make something clear," she said, her tone sharp and deliberate. "Maya is no longer part of this family. She has made choices that shame our name." The room went silent. Maya froze, the glass trembling in her hand. "Mom," she whispered. Her father didn't look at her. "You're on your own now," he said coldly. Laughter and whispers filled the hall as Maya's world collapsed in front of everyone. That night, Maya walked home barefoot, her heels in her hands and tears streaming down her face. The city lights blurred, but the words, "You're on your own now," repeated in her mind like a curse. She had no savings left. She'd invested everything into her app idea. Friends turned distant, afraid to anger her powerful family. When she got home, her landlord was waiting. "You're late again," he said. "One more day, Maya, and you're out." She nodded, barely able to speak. That night, she opened her laptop and stared at her unfinished code. Her dream, Lumina, was supposed to be a mobile app that helped small businesses track their finances. No investors, no family support, just her and her laptop. "You'll regret this," she whispered into the dark. "I'll build something so powerful they'll have to say my name again." The days that followed were a blur of hunger, rejection, and silence. Maya sent out dozens of emails to investors, but no one replied. Some had already heard what her parents had done and didn't want to associate with her. Her phone stayed cold and quiet, except for payment reminders and overdue notices. One evening, as she sat in a small cafe using free Wi-Fi, she overheard two young entrepreneurs discussing their new app launch. They laughed loudly, full of confidence. Maya's heart burned with envy and determination. If they can do it, so can I, she thought. She spent nights learning, reading, coding, sleeping only when exhaustion forced her. Her fingers bled from typing, her eyes burned from staring at the screen. But she didn't stop. Somewhere deep inside her, a quiet fire was forming, one that would soon change everything. It was on one of those long, cold nights that she met Cade, a software engineer who often worked at the same cafe. He noticed the way she stared at her screen for hours without eating. "You're building something big, aren't you?" he asked one evening, sliding into the seat across from her. Maya looked up, startled. "Trying to," she said quietly. "But no one believes in me." He smiled. "Then you don't need them. You just need one person who does, even if it's you." That night, they talked for hours. Cade listened without judgment, and when she told him about Lumina, his eyes lit up. "You've got something there," he said. "Let me help you polish it." For the first time in months, Maya felt seen, Not as a failure, not as a disgrace, but as a creator. Weeks turned into months. Together, Maya and Cade worked day and night refining Lumina. He handled the back-end coding while she perfected the interface and marketing strategy. They shared instant noodles, laughter, and frustration. There were times when the app crashed completely and Maya broke down crying. "Maybe my parents were right," she whispered once. Cade placed a hand on her shoulder. "No, they were wrong. They were scared. Because they saw the fire in you." That sentence stayed with her. Slowly, the beta version of Lumina went live. It started small, just a few downloads from small business owners, but the feedback was glowing. Finally, something simple that actually works, one review read. Maya smiled through tears as she read each message. Her app wasn't just working, it was helping people. Then came the moment she never expected. A popular business podcast reached out, asking to feature her as an inspiring self-taught founder. Maya's heart raced. "They want me?" she asked, barely believing it. Cade grinned. "They want the woman who built a company from nothing." The interview went viral overnight. Thousands of downloads poured in. Investors who once ignored her began calling nonstop. Within months, Lumina hit 1 million active users. Maya stood in her tiny apartment, surrounded by congratulatory messages, and whispered, "We did it, Cade." He smiled, eyes shining with pride. "No, you did it, Maya. They threw you away, and you turned that pain into gold." The success felt surreal. Every day, Maya woke up to new emails, partnership requests, collaboration offers, and praise from people who once ignored her. But with the success came memories she had buried deep. Her parents' words still echoed whenever the room fell quiet. "You're on your own now." Some nights, even after signing big contracts, she'd still cry quietly, wondering why approval from them still mattered. One afternoon, while reviewing Lumina's new marketing proposal, her phone buzzed. It was a number she hadn't seen in years. Her mother. For a long moment, Maya couldn't move. Then she answered. "Maya," her mother's voice said softly, "your father and I saw your interview. You've done well." Maya's grip tightened on the phone. "You disowned me," she whispered. "Now you call because the world finally clapped for me?" There was silence. "It's complicated," her mother said. "We were protecting the family's reputation." Maya laughed bitterly. "From your own daughter?" She hung up before her mother could answer. For the first time, Maya realized success didn't erase pain. It revealed who truly stood with her. That evening, Cade found her sitting on the rooftop, staring at the sunset. "You okay?" he asked. She shook her head. "Why do they still have power over me? I've made it, Cade. I should be happy." He sat beside her. "Because you never wanted their money. You wanted their love." Maya exhaled shakily. "Maybe I'm still that little girl waiting for them to say they're proud." Cade looked at her gently. "Then make peace with this. You don't need them to say it. The world already did." His words stayed in her mind long after he left that night. Months later, Lumina expanded across multiple countries. Maya's face appeared on magazine covers. She was invited to speak at conferences and share her journey. During one interview, the host asked, "What drives you?" Maya smiled. "Rejection. It taught me to create my own table instead of waiting for a seat." The audience erupted in applause. But deep inside, Maya wasn't chasing applause anymore. She was chasing peace. She had built something that mattered, something that would outlive the shame her parents had tried to attach to her name. Her success had become her silence, her answer, her freedom. Then came the family gala again. 2 years after the night, she was cast out. Maya received another golden invitation, just like before. This time, she didn't laugh. She placed it on her desk and stared at it for a long time. "You're not going, are you?" Cade asked. Maya looked up, smiling faintly. "I don't know yet. Maybe I need to." He frowned. "Why?" "You owe them nothing." She nodded slowly. "Maybe not. But I owe it to myself to walk into that same room, not with tears, but with pride." He sighed but smiled. "Then walk in like the storm you are." The night of the gala arrived. Maya wore a sleek black gown that shimmered under the lights. Her hair was pulled back neatly, her confidence unshakable. As she entered the grand hall, whispers followed her. Isn't that Maya Williams? The tech genius? Didn't her parents disown her? She smiled as if none of it mattered. Across the room, she saw her parents standing by the stage, elegant, poised, and visibly nervous. Her father's eyes widened when he saw her. Her mother froze. For a moment, the entire hall seemed to hold its breath. Maya walked past them without flinching and took a seat in the front row. For the first time, she felt no fear, only quiet victory. The lights dimmed, and the host stepped onto the stage. Tonight, he announced, we honor families who have built legacies of excellence. The room erupted in applause. Maya sat still, hands folded in her lap, her eyes fixed on her parents. Her mother's smile trembled. Her father avoided her gaze. When their family's name was called, the applause was hesitant. Maya heard someone whisper, "Didn't they disown their daughter, who's now a billionaire?" Her chest tightened, but she didn't move. As her parents walked onto the stage, her father cleared his throat. "Our family has faced challenges," he said, "but tonight is about forgiveness and growth." Maya raised an eyebrow. Forgiveness? She waited, curious how far he would go. "We're proud to announce that the Williams legacy continues," he paused, "and our daughter Maya is the living proof of that." The crowd gasped. Her heart stopped. The same man who once said she was no longer part of the family was now claiming her success as their legacy. Maya stood, the sound of her heels echoing through the hall. "No," she said loudly, her voice slicing through the murmurs. All eyes turned to her. "You don't get to rewrite history, father." The room fell silent. Her father's face hardened. "Maya, not here." She stepped closer to the stage. "You disowned me in front of these same people. You said I was a disgrace. You said I was on my own. So don't stand here pretending you believed in me." Her voice trembled, not from fear, but from power. The audience looked between them, caught in the tension that years of silence had built. Her mother tried to smile, her voice shaky. "Sweetheart, we were angry. We didn't mean—" "Stop," Maya interrupted. "You meant every word. You threw me out to protect your image, not your daughter." For a moment, her mother's lips quivered. "Maya, please, people are watching." Maya let out a dry laugh. "Yes. Let them watch. Let them see the daughter who rose without your name." The host looked nervous, unsure what to do. Maya turned to the audience. "They disowned me in this very hall. But when I built something from the ashes, suddenly I'm family again. That's not love. That's convenience." Her voice echoed through the silence. Some people began clapping softly, then louder, until the entire room applauded. Her father's face turned pale. "You're humiliating us," he hissed. Maya looked at him calmly. "No, you did that yourself when you threw me away." The applause grew stronger. She felt tears sting her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. Her mother reached for her arm. "Maya, please, let's talk in private." Maya gently stepped back. "There's nothing left to say." She turned toward the audience one last time. "For anyone here who's ever been told they're not enough, remember, rejection doesn't define you. Your response does." The hall roared in applause as she walked out, her head high, her parents frozen under the bright lights. Outside, the night air was cool against her skin. Cade was waiting by the car, watching her with quiet pride. "How did it go?" he asked. Maya smiled faintly. "I said what I needed to say." He opened the car door for her. "You sure you're okay?" She nodded, glancing back at the glittering hall. "For the first time in years, I feel free." As they drove away, Maya looked out the window and whispered, "They try to silence me, but my success became my voice." Cade reached over and squeezed her hand. "You didn't just survive, Maya. You made history." She smiled, the city lights reflecting in her eyes. "And the best part," she said softly, "I'm just getting started." The next morning, Maya woke to hundreds of notifications. The video of her confrontation had gone viral. Headlines read, Disowned daughter confronts parents in emotional gala speech. Another said, billionaire tech founder breaks her silence. Maya scrolled through thousands of comments. Some called her brave, others called her disrespectful. But none of that mattered. What mattered was the message spreading across the internet, that no amount of family pressure or rejection should kill one's dream. She received emails from women all over the world thanking her. You gave me courage, one read. I've been afraid to stand up to my family too. Maya leaned back in her chair, eyes glistening. For the first time, she realized her story wasn't just hers anymore. It was a mirror for everyone who had been silenced. Cade entered her office, carrying 2 cups of coffee. You've broken the internet again, he said with a grin. Maya laughed softly. Guess I just spoke what many are afraid to say. He placed the coffee on her desk. You know what this means, right? Your name is bigger than your parents now. They can't control your story anymore. She nodded slowly, letting his words sink in. For years, I thought proving them wrong would heal me. But now I see, she paused. It's not about them anymore. It's about me finding peace. Cade smiled. Then maybe it's time to rest a little. You've been fighting all your life. Maya exhaled, glancing at the city skyline. Maybe you're right. But peace doesn't come by resting. It comes by forgiving. Later that evening, Maya sat alone in her apartment, watching the city lights flicker like fireflies. She replayed her father's trembling voice, her mother's tears, and the applause that followed. The anger that once burned inside her now felt empty. She picked up her phone and scrolled to her mother's contact. For a long moment, she hesitated. Then she pressed call. The phone rang twice before her mother answered. Maya, her voice cracked. I didn't think you'd ever speak to us again. Maya's throat tightened. I didn't either, she said softly. But I can't carry this forever. Her mother sobbed quietly. I'm sorry, Maya. We were wrong. We were proud, stubborn, and blind. Maya closed her eyes, tears falling freely now. I know, but I forgive you. Her mother's sobs grew louder. Your father has been miserable since that night. He couldn't even sleep after seeing that video. He wants to talk to you. Maya took a deep breath. I'll come tomorrow, she said gently. Not for them, but for closure. When the call ended, she sat in silence, feeling the heaviness in her chest slowly lift. Cade found her sitting by the window. You called her, he said quietly. Maya nodded. I forgave them. He smiled softly. That takes more strength than revenge ever will. She leaned her head against his shoulder. Maybe this is what real success feels like. Not wealth, not power, just peace. The next day, Maya drove to her parents' home, the same house where she once begged to be understood. The gates opened slowly as she parked and stepped out. Everything looked smaller now. The garden, the porch, the fountain that once felt grand. All of it seemed fragile. Her father stood by the doorway, his eyes red, his shoulders slumped. For the first time, he looked human. Maya, he said softly. I don't know where to begin. She took a few steps closer. You already did, by being here. He looked down, ashamed. I was cruel. I thought cutting you off would make you crawl back. Instead, you flew. She smiled sadly. And you didn't even notice the wings. For a long moment, father and daughter stood in silence, both holding back years of words that had never been spoken. Her mother appeared from behind him, wiping her tears with trembling hands. Maya, she whispered, we watched your speech. You were so strong, so brave. Maya met her gaze. I wasn't brave that night, Mother. I was broken. But I had to speak, or I would have drowned in silence. Her mother nodded, her voice barely a whisper. We deserved it. Every word. They stood there, no titles, no pride, just people trying to find their way back from years of hurt. Can we start over? Her father asked. Maya looked at them both, her heart heavy but soft. We can try, she said. They sat together in the living room, surrounded by family portraits. Each frame told a story of smiles that hid the truth. Her father poured tea, his hands shaking. You know, he began, I grew up believing success meant control. That's how my father raised me, To lead, not to listen. Maya smiled faintly. Then maybe I was your lesson. He chuckled, tears glistening in his eyes. Yes, you were. The hardest and most beautiful one. Her mother reached out, placing a hand over Maya's. We don't deserve your forgiveness, but thank you for giving it. Maya nodded. You don't have to deserve it. It's not for you, it's for me. The words hung in the air like peace finally finding a home. Over the next few weeks, Maya visited often. They talked about the past, about her childhood, her dreams, the nights she felt invisible. Her parents listened this time, not to respond, but to understand. One afternoon, while walking through the garden, her father said, When I saw you that night at the gala, I realized I'd raised a stronger version of myself. And I didn't recognize you because I never taught you how to be free. Maya smiled gently. Maybe you didn't have to. I learned by watching what I didn't want to become. He laughed softly. You've got your mother's fire and my stubbornness. Dangerous mix. They both laughed, and for the first time in years, it felt like family again. Cade often joined her during these visits. He became the bridge that connected old wounds with new beginnings. Her parents admired his calmness, the way he listened without judgment. One evening, her mother pulled Maya aside. He's good for you, she said. He reminds me of what your father used to be, when we first met. Maya blushed. He's been there when no one else was. Her mother smiled knowingly. Hold on to people who see you, Maya. They're rare. Maya looked toward Cade, who was helping her father fix a broken lamp. I know, she said softly. And I intend to. Despite reconciliation, whispers still followed Maya. Some people claimed she only forgave them for publicity. Others said she was too kind. But Maya stopped letting the noise shape her life. She poured her energy into Lumina Foundation, a nonprofit that funded women-owned tech startups. If I had someone to believe in me earlier, she told her team, my story would have started sooner. Let's be that belief for someone else. The foundation flourished quickly, attracting global attention. Cade watched proudly as Maya inspired thousands. You've turned your pain into purpose, he said. That's the real empire. Maya smiled. An empire built from rejection, she whispered, is stronger than one built from privilege. One afternoon, Maya received an invitation to speak at a global entrepreneurship summit in Dubai. Her name was listed beside world leaders and innovators. She hesitated at first. The stage would be massive, the audience global. But Cade encouraged her. You've been preparing for this your whole life, he said. Tell your truth. Maya agreed. A month later, she stood backstage, dressed in white, her nerves calm but her heart full. When the announcer called her name, the applause thundered. As she walked to the podium, she saw cameras flashing and hundreds of faces watching her. 2 years ago, she began, I was publicly disowned. Today, I'm publicly free. The hall grew still as she continued. Rejection taught me the difference between noise and purpose. It taught me that silence isn't weakness. It's where strength is born. My parents didn't believe in me, and maybe that was the best thing they ever did, because it forced me to believe in myself. The crowd erupted in applause. Maya smiled, her voice steady. So to everyone who's ever been told they'll never make it, I'm here to tell you that you already have what you need. That's enough. By the time she stepped off the stage, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. After the summit, global media outlets featured her speech. Her story became a symbol of resilience and transformation. One magazine titled it The Woman Who Forgave Her Way to Freedom. Another called her the voice of the silence. Back home, her parents watched her interviews on television. Her mother turned to her father, smiling faintly. She found her way, didn't she? Her father nodded. And she took the world with her. Meanwhile, Maya sat in her office surrounded by fresh flowers and thank you letters. Cade walked in with 2 passports. You deserve a break, he said. Let's travel. No emails. No cameras. Just peace. She smiled. Peace sounds nice. They traveled across Africa, from Zanzibar's beaches to Cape Town's hills, rediscovering joy and simplicity. For once, Maya wasn't the CEO, the prodigy, or the daughter who had something to prove. She was just a woman in love, laughing freely under wide skies. One night, while they watched the sunset, Cade said quietly, "You know, your story changed mine too." She turned curious.
How?
"I used to think success was about being seen. Now I know it's about seeing yourself." Maya smiled, her eyes soft. "Maybe that's what we've both been chasing all along. Not fame, not validation, but self-recognition." He kissed her forehead. "And now you have it." When they returned home, Maya's parents surprised her with a dinner invitation. Just family, no audience, no photographers. She hesitated at first, but eventually agreed. The dinner was quiet, intimate. Her father served her favorite dish, her mother laughed at old stories, and for the first time, it didn't feel forced. During dessert, her father raised a glass. "To our daughter," he said. "Not because she's successful, but because she found herself." Maya smiled, tears filling her eyes. "To family," she replied softly, "the kind that learns to love without conditions." They clinked glasses, and for a fleeting moment, all the broken years seemed to fade. After dinner, Maya sat on the porch, watching fireflies dance in the garden. Her mother joined her, carrying 2 cups of tea. "You know," she said, "your strength reminds me of my mother. She was fierce, too." Maya smiled. "Maybe I inherited it." Her mother chuckled. "Maybe you did. I just wish we'd seen it sooner." Maya nodded. "I used to wish that too. But maybe things had to fall apart first. Otherwise, I wouldn't have learned to stand." Her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. "We're proud of you, Maya." This time, Maya believed it. Over time, Maya's foundation grew into a movement. She launched mentorship programs, scholarships, and digital training for young women in underprivileged communities. Everywhere she went, people called her the Phoenix Woman, the one who rose from ashes. When asked what kept her going, she always said the same thing, "Because once, I was told I couldn't." That line became her brand slogan, printed on banners and billboards. But to her, it wasn't just a message. It was her truth. The more she gave back, the more peace she found. Every young woman she helped reminded her of who she once was: hungry, rejected, but unstoppable. Years later, Maya stood before a crowd of thousands at Lumina's 10th anniversary celebration. Her parents sat in the front row, tears in their eyes. Cade stood beside her, now her husband and business partner. The air buzzed with pride and gratitude. 10 years ago, she began, I was a girl they said would never make it. But I made it because I refused to let pain be my ending. She paused, looking at her parents. And to my family, thank you for teaching me that love must grow even through mistakes. Her father nodded slowly, mouthing the words, "We love you." Maya smiled, her voice trembling with emotion. Today isn't just my story. It's ours. After the event, the crowd surrounded her, asking for photos and autographs. Amid the chaos, a teenage girl approached her shyly. "Miss Maya," she said, "my parents don't support me either. But after watching your videos, I decided to keep coding. I want to build something like you did." Maya knelt and smiled warmly. "Then you will. Just remember, you don't need permission to dream." The girl nodded with tears in her eyes. As Maya watched her walk away, she whispered to Cade, "That's why I do this." He smiled. "Because you see yourself in her." She nodded. Every time. That night, back home, Maya stood by the window, gazing at the city skyline that once intimidated her. Now it felt like a reflection of her journey, full of lights, shadows, and resilience. Cade wrapped his arms around her waist. "Thinking again?" he teased. She chuckled. "Always. I keep wondering if that broken girl from 2 years ago would recognize this version of me." He kissed her cheek. "She'd be proud. She'd say you kept your promise." Maya smiled. Maybe she would. Maybe I finally became the woman she dreamed of becoming. Months later, Maya received an unexpected letter. It was from her father. Inside was a simple note. "You taught us that love without humility isn't love at all. Thank you for making us better people, Dad." She pressed the paper to her chest, tears falling freely. It wasn't the apology she once longed for, it was something deeper. Understanding. She framed the letter and placed it beside her desk, a quiet reminder that even broken bonds can heal when love is allowed to breathe again. As years passed, Maya's name became synonymous with strength and grace. Universities invited her to speak, companies sought her guidance, and communities celebrated her resilience. But through all the fame and recognition, she never forgot where she started, alone, barefoot, and heartbroken. Every time she met someone struggling to believe in themselves, she told them, "The people who reject you aren't your ending, they're your beginning." Her story had come full circle, from shame to significance, from disownment to destiny. On a quiet Sunday morning, Maya stood on her balcony, the sun painting gold across the sky. Her daughter, a bright, curious 5-year-old, tugged at her dress. "Mommy, can we go to Grandma's?" Maya smiled, lifting her into her arms. "Yes, baby, we can." As they drove to her parents' house, laughter filled the car. When they arrived, her parents ran out to greet them, joy shining in their eyes. Her father lifted his granddaughter and said, "You look just like your mother." Maya laughed softly. Let's hope she gets her kindness, too. As the four of them stood together, the wind carried the scent of jasmine and peace. Maya looked up at the sky and whispered, "They disowned me once, but love brought me home." And please don't forget to tap the bell so every new folktale reaches you first. Tell us in the comments what you think about the story. And tell us where you're watching from. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share this beautiful story with friends, family, and loved ones so they too can remember.